Welcome back everyone to Nogard Grimm's journey through Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel. There's been an update and looks like the Crusadias have a new form to that. So let's jump right on in. The secret power of the planets. More lore. That's what I love. More lore. Woo! Looks like it's gonna be a real big storybook today. I hope this goes good. Oh, that's pretty cool. Let's get started.
Let the story begin. The secret powers of the planet. A few years have passed since the nightmare of a tragedy. When Naram woken, he found the girl and her brother no longer with him. Was it truly gone for good? The loss of the girl had its grips over Aram's heart with an unbreakable vice. I couldn't protect it. If only I was stronger, then her death could have been avoidable. The battle left a chasm in Aram's heart. Now that it is gone, and Aram has tasted for the first time just how terrible a battle could be, and how devastating losing someone you treasure could be. He did not have the heart to go on his journey, not for now. However, there was one thing that still bothered him. It was Nero's Ningisu. Even now, Aram had no idea where he's gone. No doubt despair had taken him. Now that his beloved sister was no more, when Aram thought about how Ningisu must feel right now, his heart became fractured with an unmovable weight. But that was exactly why Aram had to go after his childhood friend. And so the swordsman resumed his journey with of Ilku. It was when panic had begun, settled in Aram's mind. Was it a coincidence, or did the mech knight that dwelled inside him lead into it? He stumbled upon a Duran crawler. It occurred to Aram that there might be a clue. He could try to restore it, see if it can communicate since the system still worked. Interesting. The crawlers, aka one of the members of the Flip Council. Yes, I will refer to any of those Flip monster archetypes as part of the Flip Council, because I find it's cool. Aram has successfully restored the crawler and gained access to the communication system, along with a number of records. The detail in the area swarmed were activities, data of locations, where many crawlers had been destroyed. Perhaps there's still some life left in those areas. And if there was, maybe they would know where Nigitsu had gone. Armed with the new clue and set off to the area, he gleaned for the records. However, as useful the information was, it was unfortunate it didn't make Ara's expedition any easier. There was a way of a sign of light could be spotted anywhere. The journey looked like it could have ended in vain. Nature uncanny, caring, and relentless continued to batter the two merciless. But at last a glimmer of hope at the end of the erosion tunnel. Aram and Ibto stumbled across the remaining tribes of the planet. They were the fiery reclusive, the stalwart beasts, the sacred lakeside trees. Although this encounter brought no clue to Nigitsu's whereabouts, Aram and Ibn were blessed with the legends and knowledge of the tribes. and they will link them together. Aram was able to unlock a great secret power of the world, and witness the tremendous power that slumbered in the depths. It made him think of the world chalice's power that's bestowed to him. This was far greater, hiding unbeknownstly in the dwelling of the planet. Was this what Lee sought? Aram thought. What were more secrets? The more secrets dwelled beneath the surface. One of them was the rebirth records, inscribed with the history of the planet, chronicles from generations long forgotten, and others bygone memories of the planet's glorious age where humans ruled from Apex. Long ago, there was a god who ruled the skies, with Dragonkin as its disciple. A patrolling cycle of destruction and rebirth to maintain the balance of the realm. However, the scale of destruction grew bigger, and each time, one day the balance of two was thrown into disarray. Once this delicate battle toppled, all the sacred skies could not hold back the destruction's row. The god descended, decided that it could no longer see the sky by itself. With its power of creation, it brought forth layers and layers of the toughest earth, and sealed the power of destruction within. With nowhere to go, the rage and rage until it boiled and scorched the very earth, morphing it. The torrent of power rushed through the lands and merged with the power of creation, leaking out to the surface. It became a small manifestation of the cycle of death and rebirth, and gave life to the land with the last of its strength. The god turned itself into a key and entrusted it to the life blooming on the planet before vanishing. In the years following its disappearance, the power of destruction re-emerged on the surface many times. However, every time it did, the life of the planet would use the key, with the help of the Dragonkin, to push it back from Headscom. Over time, the game known as Word, and the power of destruction is as the Great Darkness. Thus, the great legend hero, the world hero, was born. Starlight Hero, your sword sways in light. May you triumph over the great darkness. Sorry if I messed that up. Oh, really? They gotta lock that? Decades, centuries, maybe millennia has passed since the records of the rebirth records. The land is now populated with life known as humanity. There was a civilization who gained specific scientific knowledge and technological know-how. It reached the height of their prosperity. They came at a cost. It was not only torn the planet's gift away, but the dragons who protected it. The gods and dragons that were once now faded to obscurity as mere tales. It was during this time the key was excavated and uncovered. Humanity exhilarated such legends by such legends. Although its authenticity became gradually acknowledged, some expressed worry about discovery.
What did it mean for the key to have resurfaced at this time? Was it an omen, warning them in a inevitable battle between the world hero and the great darkness, like the legends say? Now that they could see what the key existed in sword form, did this not also mean the great powers, indeed was sealed away in the belief deep within the Earth's crust? Humanity began to analyze further, and analyze the key. Within the team was formed the scientists who had known her talents in all the fields of medicine, astronomy, and archaeology. Her name was Lee. Lee was known all the world as the foremost authority on computer science. The analyzing was able to process smoothly, thanks to her involvement, and long after, ran together, called organization called Crusadia, under the jurisdiction of the Confederates of Nations. Once they were evidenced the keys further, they began drafting a plan that would help fight the immense threat on the planet. It would involve warriors of mechanical nature. They were called Project Mechanites. Worked also to proceed without a moment's delay. Whoever hypothesis sought to develop thing in secret. She wanted to get to the root of the appearance of the great darkness and the heroes spoken of legend. Records of them were multiple tales of the key being used to drive back the great darkness by harnessing the power of creation and destruction. It was a simple story. The great darkness would appear, the great hero would fight it back with the key. However, could the reverse also not be true? Using the key was the very thing that drew out the darkness. Then there was those who entrusted the divine mission, had conspirators who sought to revive the great powers. The world hero legend was ultimately a story where the struggling power struggled with the key. Whoever has the key will control the fate of the world, or so had hypothesis anyway. The more time she spent trying to validate it, the darker her ambition grew. The divine power will be mine. Few years have passed now since Project Mech-Knight began, and finally the Mech-Knight of the Morning Star was complete. It was fitted with a core powered by the key, and possessed enough power to fight the most now. However, an incident occurred during its test run, which none other than Lee as its test pilot. With the key, she had reversed all the celestial power, coursing through the mechanical one, diverted them to the core, faster than anyone could move. Lee's plan was all this out before taking her place as a test pilot. The power that had flowed to the planets split the land once again. The great destruction from within overflowed, scorching every bit of the sun left untouched. The entire world began to split apart, an unprecedented disaster. The revival of the great darkness grew even closer. However, in resurrection was not without obstacles. The Crusaders had created assistant units, 7 Mech-Knights in total. The remaining Mech-Knights fended off against Mech-Knight of the Morning Star and destroyed it. Sealed the way the great darkness back into the earth once more. But the great darkness was, in the end of the day, a divine force. One that the mortals failed to seal away completely. Inspired by the key, the team decided to put their power into physical vessels of their own, leaving them on the surface as legacies. Now that the world was ruined, it was larger and harder to live in such conditions. It seems life on the planet would gradually snuff out, including humanity. That is the reason why the mass is the key. The world hero did not appear in our time of need, because we humanity drained the power of the planet of its power. Though the Crusaders began to mobilize, put an end to their so-called glory, was the largest obstacle of the arriving barren lands had the planet's chance of survival. They left the 7 magnets they built in their ruined world as they were, programmed to instruct to rekindle the planet. The magnets also installed the data of the Crusader members that they were established to bring in the lands that would be healed once again. The planet would come back into power once again, and had perhaps they could avoid the imminent danger. The Crusaders left all their hope and faraway future they may not have even reached. However, one thing they failed to realize: the mastermind behind this incident was Lee, who was taken by the burning lands, and found when she was found, she was already dead. But only in flesh. Her soul was released from the physical vessel she had been transferred into the world legacy, world chalice, her will and knowledge. Well, that explains everything. She basically was the reason why we ended up having that problem with those guys. The tremendous power that dwelled within the planet was the very thing that Lee was after. Although Aram suddenly was struck by a sense of terror, he could feel a great malice that threatened the planet from where he could not tell. Perhaps somewhere was beckoning to the doctors, trying to bring it forth. He had to stop them before another terrible disaster happened. In that moment in Ram's mind, a figure of Ningusu appeared. The figure of his childhood friend, tormented by the sadness and loss of it, seeing the darkness and despair in the world. Although in sight he could feel Ningusu's presence within the malice, it could not be. Aram reignited his uneasy heart, and he would need help to stop this malice. He asked the elders of each tribe to lend him their strength. They answered his plea with great number of warriors. The tribes unite to a formidable alliance. They named themselves after the warriors of old, as the ruins spoken of. Thus the second coming of the Crusadia was born. The Crusaders were taken to a hidden spot by the tribes of the sacred trees, and activated World Legacy, World Crown. Aram and his companions now obtained the power that would help them to combat the malice and that threatens their world. The Crusadia began to advance towards the giant tower at the center of all the malice. The Oracle's Babylon towered into the skies a mechanical menace. Surrounding it was the Orcus, mechanical weapons waiting on standby in silent formation. At the base of the tower was Ningusu. Activating World Legacy World 1 was the only thing on his mind. Now that Aram could see his friend, the swordsman that could only think how much sadder he looked. Aram prayed that he was overthinking the situation. He knew that in reality it was not a kite. Ningusu was here because he wanted the power of the darkness. He was at the center of the malice. Aram felt the truth was awaited him in the end of his long search. No matter how many times had passed, no matter how many things have changed, one thing remained the same. Ningusu was still his friend. Aram thought what he could do now that he was here. He had tried to stop him from starting a disaster that could end their world. The only one who could stop me, this villainy, is me. Aram's mind thoughts gathered all his courage. He signals his comrades to mobilize, and now a new battle is about to begin. Well, explains the Orcus and all them. No wonder they're such a pain in the butt to deal with.
Dingisu sorrow. When Dingisu saw what happened, both guilt pierced through his grief. Even in his desperation, he never imagined this would happen. And his eyes could hardly believe what he was seeing. How could this happen so fast? He prayed that he was dreaming, that he was going to awake soon, see his dear sister again. Another scene, another nightmare unfurled around him. He became embroiled. I need to save Ip. Even his mind was numb with stupor. Ningetsu's body began to move without command. What looks like an impulsive choice. He struck his childhood friend unconscious, taking both the other man's sword and Ip's. What good was this world if Ip was not in it? He would do anything, be it good or evil, if it meant he could see her smile again. The single thought of getting his sister back was all that Ningetsu needed to force his weary body forward. He had also the Mekhnite core from the 6 knights that were defeated. He had also had the sword he took from Aram. Using the facility presented at the Mekhnite's headquarters, he analyzed the artifact with feverish desperation. This world possesses a magical power similar to the world legacy. If anything, a clue regarding its specimen, it would be the Meknites. They might have a way to bring back Ip. He was unable to lead a way to resurrect Ip. He learned a great deal about a number of facilities, age, and civilization. He left the Meknites headquarters, set off to water them, with the lifeless body of his sister in tow. Many of the facilities he had visited already ceased to work. One of them barely did little to provide. However, Ningetsu never gave up. There must be a way he could save Ip somehow. With an unwavering belief in his heart, he resumed his search. And finally, at long last, he discovered an ancient facility that was still in working condition. After countless weary roads walking, Ningetsu has gone through more information than any average man would in his life. He thought thoroughly inspecting the Mekhnite cores and the several ancient facilities. With all that he gathered, including the files of the key technology that was long lost, he finally unlocked the secrets hidden within the planet, the truth of the world that is shrouded in mystery. Ningetsu trembled with joy. He could revive his sister now, with his newly found certainty. He set to create a vessel that could house Ib's soul using the ancient technology. However, this task was the most difficult. Trial after trial resulted in countless failures, and thereby byproducts. As the day ticks by, he has amassed enough vessels to create his own army. But at last, his efforts paid off.
he finally created a mechanical doll that would work. By synchronizing the doll with the body of his dead sister, he was also successful in reinitiating the function of the twin swords vital to the plan. As much time as poured into their endeavor, at least there was something to show for it. A strange sense of elation began to bubble within him. His sister had given her life in this world. Now it's time for him to create a new world for her. Now Ningetsu had the mechanical doll's power. The second step was to build. Oracuscal Babylon could finally begin. Well, time to learn the ins and outs of the full Crusadia. Sorry if it's taken a long time. This is an easy match. And I just won. Now we can progress and finish this story.
The Crusadia headed towards where Ningisu was. However, they could not reach him. They had to get past a countless orchestral weaponry. The orchestras were merciless as they were numerous. The Crusadia suffered greatly, though they fought their way. In the heat of battle, Aram began to feel that within the orchestra's battle there is a power similar to that of his key. The mechanical vessel that was used, whatever little of the key's power they had inherited, activated Oracle's Babel. From the depths of the core, the great light released. The tower itself began to almost fall away as the beam reached to the skies above. No, the activation must be stopped. Aram thought he could dash towards the machinery. However, he could not move any further. Ningisu appeared before him. It was the first time they'd seen each other since the tragedy long ago. Their eyes met within the chaos of battle. Aram opened his mouth to speak. Why? He asked. Would you do anything? Would you want to do anything with the great darkness? Why put our planet under threat like this? Why did you create this spiraling tower and this mechanical army of mechanical weapons? Ningisu only one simple answer for him. For Ib. It was the only reason he needed. For his sister was willing to activate Babel, to order the world, to strike the world legacy World 1 down from the skies, to break the surface, so he could awaken slumbering legacy, World Arc, and use his influence over life and death to revive its soul. Then, after the great darkness had to be free within the earth, he was going to use its power to resurrect it as a celestial being. That's what he heard the truth from Ningisu. Aram readied his sword and knew he had to stop this at all cost. Ningisu did not budge. Instead, he swung his lance in return. No one was going to stand his way, not even Aram. The swordsman knew Ningisu it loved more than anything in this world. But that didn't make it right for him to put their entire planet in danger for this. Aram knew that Ip wouldn't want this, even if it meant she could live once again. However, for Ningisu, there was nothing he wanted more than to see his sister open her eyes again. If it meant he would have to turn against the world, so be it. Both men have already made their minds what they want to believe. Neither wanted to budge, so that clashing could but neither could be decided. The Orcus by Babylon's activated. At last. The world one has been toppled. When it fell to the earth, the glory and land
Instant blow. Resulting shockwave represented across the entire planet. Dang it, Nigirsu, you're the reason why we have this much problem. Well, that's gonna be it for now, guys. So, unfortunately, I gotta have to say goodbye. Sorry. So, until next time, see you later, guys. Hit the like, hit the subscribe, check out the notification, check out notifications, as well as check out the subreddit. There'll be a link down in the description. Bye.